Welcome back on Dynamod. Today I want to propose you a video about the review about the update for the Ossiarc Bonereapers released with the White Dwarf 472 released for January 2022 by the Games Workshop. Sincerely, I don't like too much such type of updates because they are only on the White Dwarf and they are missing on the facts. And it's a bit of pity because you are able to miss these updates if you're not able to find the web apps themselves that you are related about. Still, there is the online version, so in some way you are able to find. And moreover, remember that if you are able to have the Battletome of the Ossiarch Bonereapers, registering it on the app of the Age of Sigmar 1, you are able to have anyway all the updates. So in some way it can be said that it's a bit less problematic. Still, if you are not going to use such type of apps and so on, it's a bit of pity not to have on the facts themselves. Moreover, if you think that the fact about the Ossiarch Bonereapers are quite close as publishing, so it can be a bit problematic in that way. Still, with such video, anyway, you are able to find such update. Remember anyway that these are simply an update of previous facts. So if you're interested about the previous facts, you can find the link in the description, because each time I want only to update without having to repeat everything every time, only the new ones. So each time you find the update of the facts. So pay attention about such one, and now we can go to see about the new facts. About the relentless discipline points, there's been not changed anything about how they are generated and how you can utilize them. Has been changed only a single part, that it's about the abilities that you can use about the relentless discipline points, because before it was added a single new command ability. Instead, there has been added new ones with such update, and so they simply change in the way that you can know this has been changed for the part of the text. So it's a simple update so that you can use also these other command abilities for the Ossiarch Bonereapers. So you have simply to see about it. Anyway, I'll not go to repeat everything about how you generate and utilize such relentless discipline points, but I leave you in the description the link about the video where I talked about, because aside such step, this part it's all the same as we've seen previously, so it's useless to repeat everything again, and simply you can make as a referral that video, so use that one. And now we can go to see better about such new command abilities that are available. About the command abilities, we can see that the first unstoppable events, I talked about it in that video that I talked about the relentless discipline points renewed version. So simply go to see about it in that video so that I don't have to repeat everything about it, and it's still the same, exactly the same, so has not changed anything about such command ability. And then we have a new command ability available, that it's Reckonit Construct, that make it that you can use this Ossiarch command ability at the end of the movement phase, and the unit that receive the command must be a friendly Ossiarch Bonereaper as keyword unit that remained stationary, remember about this, in that phase, and that is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, so not in close combat. And you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated to that unit, or if no wounds are allocated to it, you can return a number of slain models to that unit that has a combined wound statistic of D3 or less. So we have to notice 3 main details about such, and that is that first, the unit that receives such command ability has to be remain stationary in that movement phase, and to be more than 3 inches from the enemy. So you have to pay attention that it doesn't have to be in close combat, and it's quite important. Moreover, with these points, you have to remember that there is a limit to the versatility of such unit, because in that moment they can't move. It doesn't change the fact that you can anyway charge afterward, so you have some option available. And you have also to remember that that way, in a way, you apply after that you decide to move or not that unit, so you have to pay attention about such. The second detail is that you have to remember that it can be combined with other skills. For example, think about the heroic actions, think about that you can use to it for using on a hero that is damaged, or you remember that you can use to repristine the models that has a profile with multiple profiles as the Cottage Harvester, the Multi-Crovers, and so on. So it can be really quite interesting. Moreover, it can bring back on life models that has a total combined of wounds. So remember that it's the same as for the Sublight Gravelords and similar ones. So in that way you have only a D3. It means that with the Mortal Guard you not have any problem because they have a single wound. But if you go to see about the Cavalry Death Riders, it means that you can use on the Cavalry Death Riders successfully only if you are able to gain a 5+ on the dice, so pay attention about such. And remember that it doesn't work on Immortis Guard and Necropolis Stalker because those one has 4 wounds each one, so they can't make the comeback because they have more wounds that you can be restored at once. So it's really quite important about this. And remember that you can't combine more. So the third detail is that this is a wonderful ability command, but you have remember that you have to utilize such on different units because you can't use it on the same unit multiple times, and so it means that you have the problem about how many models you can make back. So it's a good supply and a good add-in, but remember that you have to pay attention that you are not putting all your efforts only on this thing because it's not enough. Still, it's quite interesting. And the problem about the movement, it can be available, and I mean that it's can be a good thing, but it's also something that you have to pay attention about the efficacy that that unit has. So you have really to pay attention about what you want that that unit goes to do, because you risk to make it stopped for the turn that you are going to heal that unit. So at least try to maximize the healing for that unit itself. Moreover, you have to remember that you can't use this command ability in the opponent turn, but only in your movement phase. So you can't use that way that you could make that you can use the opponent for yourself. So pay attention about such detail because it's quite important. And then we can see about the second new command ability that has been added with this update, and this is Unflinching Coordination. This makes that you can use this Ossiarch command ability in the combat phase after a friendly Ossiarch Bonereaper hero, only hero, has fought for the first time in that phase. The unit that issues the command ability must be a friendly Ossiarch Bonereaper hero that already fought in that phase, and the unit that receives the command must be a friendly Ossiarch Bonereapers unit that is not a hero, so not hero 1, that has not yet fought in that phase and that is within 3 inches of an enemy unit, and that unit fight immediately. And this is really quite interesting because, okay, there is the limit that the unit that receives such one has not to be a hero, so you can't create a sort of chain so that hero, 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 and then come to another unit. Instead, it's only a hero that gives this ability, or anyway, that make receive the ability to a unit that is not a hero. So pay attention about this. But remember that that unit has to be engaged, so you have the problem about eventually the range that is distance from the hero to the other unit. Okay, but the advantage it's undisputable because you have to remember that you have a similar way to make it that the new unit has have almost a strike first. So it becomes really quite interesting because it means that for each unit that your opponents play in combat, you can make start 2 units if you make start a hero before. So it can become really quite interesting and make you a way to control the close combat against the enemy. So it becomes really quite interesting. Moreover, because you don't have any problem about which combat phase this is, because you can apply in both your or your opponent one. So quite nice. And then we can see that has been added 2 new battle traits to to the Ossiarch Bonereapers, and these battle traits are related about being able to use 2 new heroic actions to the Ossiarch Bonereapers themselves. And the first one that we see is Relentless Leadership. That means that at the start of your phase you can carry out this heroic action with a friendly Ossiarch Bonereaper hero instead of any other heroic action that you can carry out with that hero. And this specific one is that Relentless Leadership, it's that you can pick one friendly Bonereaper hero until the end of this turn. You can use an Ossiarch command ability to issue a command with that hero without a Relentless discipline point being spent. So it's really quite interesting because it's a way to make free of using Relentless discipline points with that hero. And you could think that I don't need it, because why I should use such one, because simply I have always a lot of Relentless discipline points. But you have to remember that while you move on the turns, you have less and less Relentless discipline points available. So being able to gain such free of use command abilities can be quite interesting. Moreover, because you have to remember that you don't have the heroic leadership that all the other armies can use, because it's about command points and the Ossiarch Bonereapers doesn't use command points. So this is a way to use a similar way. And remember also that you don't have to roll a die to use such one, but it's automatically. So it's really quite interesting if you are going to plan a way to use the relativity point on. So I think that it's something that you can really have quite interesting to play with. So pay quite attention about such, because it's better than you can think at the beginning. The other heroic action that is specific to the Ossiarch Bonereapers, it's Necromantic Mastery. And this is quite peculiar because it's specific only to the Ossiarch Bonereapers models that has the keyword Mortisan. So only those one can take, and this goes that if you use this, obviously you can't use the other ones. And this is quite interesting because this Necromantic Mastery make you pick one friendly Mortisan, obviously keyword. If the first spell that Mortisan attempt to cast in this turn is successfully cast, the spell cannot be unbound. So it's really quite amazing, because technically it's in an arrestable spell. So you are sure that the first spell that you cast with that specific Mortisan, you are able that if you are able to launch, because you are able to reach the spell casting, you are able to make that you are able to make it happen for sure. No one can prevent it. So it's really quite amazing, and you have to pay a lot of attention which Mortisan and which spell will be utilized, because it can be really something that you can look to make that you are for sure able to make your strategy go. You simply have to make that spell happening, and nothing else can prevent it. So really quite amazing. And then we have the grand strategy for the Ossiarch Bonereapers, and this is unrelenting efficiency. That say that when the battle ends, you complete this grand strategy if any friendly Mortal Guard or Cavallos de Fright units from your starting army have the same number of models that that unit had at the start of the battle. So you have to have full size unit. Remember, full size but not full wound. So for example, with the Cavallos de Fright, you have the option to have some wounds on the last model, but you had to have considering the number of models. So if you are starting with 5, you have to still have 5 models. Pay attention about such difference. And this is simple at the same time difficult to realize, because the Ossiarch mainly are related about going in close combat, so you can have some problems about keeping a unit at full size. But you can combine different options. For example, you have the ability command that we have seen before, the Ignite Construct, that can help you a lot. And you can combine, for example, with the ability of the Costed Harvester and the Mortisan Boneshaper, so that you can try, even if you suffered some wounds or so on, some losses, to keep that unit in the way that it's full size at the end. So not worry about how many models you lose. The one that it's important is that if you select such grand strategy, you have to have one of such unit to be kept full size. I don't suggest you anyway to try to save a unit, leaving it save in the back or so on, because you risk simply that the unit suffer wounds and you are not able to make it come back to full size eventually. So pay attention about such and try to manipulate the game in the way that you can gain such grand strategy at the end. So pay a bit of attention about. And then we had the battle tactics, and we have 3 new battle tactics available for the Ossiarch Bonereapers. The first one that we see is Trample the Defiance. That it's pick one friendly Carlos Death Riders unit. Only Carlos Death Riders are available, so pay attention about such. That is more than 3 inch from all enemy units, so not in close combat. You complete this battle tactic if that unit makes a charge move this turn and is within 3 inch of any enemy units at the end of this turn. So you have to pay attention. First, it's that it's only about Carlos Death Riders. So if you don't have Carlos Death Riders in your roster, you can simply forget about using such. Then you have to start to use this with a Carlos Death Rider unit that it's not in close combat, make a charge, and remember that you have different options here. Or you don't destroy completely the unit opponent one, and so you are still at the end of the turn in close combat, because if you destroy completely and you are not in close combat, this is not valid as battle tactics. Or you are able to destroy, and then with the consolidation and so on, you are able to move so that you are still within 3 inch, so close combat, of another enemy unit. So you have to pay attention about such detail. Such as battle tactics, I think that it's mainly related about the sub-alliances of the Ossiarch, because they are mainly related about having Carlos the Riders, so I think that it's the one more possible to gain a lot from this battle tactic. So pay attention, because this can be really quite amazing as battle tactics, and I can say easy available to solve it. The second battle tactics is Unfeeling Recursion, that make you complete this battle tactic if 2 or more friendly Ossiarch Bonereaper units had slain models return to them with the Recnit Construct Ossiarch command ability in this turn. So you can think that it's quite simple, because you simply have to spend some interesting shipping points to use the command abilities. But you have to remember that you have to use such command abilities on different units and only once at a time for that specific unit. So if you have Mortar Guard, it's quite more simply to have such battle tactics successful, because you have only to make one model come back. So even if you roll the one, you are able to make it come back. But it's more problematic if you think about the Riders, Carlos the Riders, because those have 3 models. So pay a bit of attention about such. This it's one of the best, I think. It depends obviously by your roster, but I think that it's one of the ones that if you have 2 or more units of Mortar Guard, you are simply able to make them really quite fast available. So you have simply to make one for 2 or more units available without any problem. So here you have something that it's almost a must-have of the first choices to gain fast the points gained by the battle tactics. And the last battle tactic that you see about the Ossiarch Bonereaper, it's the tight demand, that make you pick one enemy hero or monster on the battlefield. You complete this battle tactic if that unit is destroyed this turn. If that enemy hero or monster was destroyed by an attack made by a friendly Ghost Harvester, score 1 additional victory point. So this is something that you have to be decisive to use, because you have to evaluate really critically your target, because you have to target a hero or a monster and destroy them in the turn. The advantage is that you don't have to pay attention about how it is destroyed, so it can be by magic, about shooting, or about close combat. But what is important, it's about if you are able to use the Ghost Harvester to kill that model, because in that way you are able to have additional scoring, so it's really quite interesting. Obviously you have to have a Ghost Sylvester in your army to be able to have such gain, but you have to remember that it can be quite interesting, and if you are interested about having the Ghost Sylvester be able to make you gain such one, it has to kill, but it has to be also the one that make the last attacks on such one, that are the one that going to kill such hero or monster. So it's one of the ones that you have to plan how to realize. So maybe you can try to make that in the previous turn you weaken the hero or the monster, and then with the Ghost Sylvester you simply reap the benefits. So you have to pay a bit of attention how you are able to use and combine the different strategies, so that you are able to seek and activate when it's proper such battle tactics. So to say about such update, I think that it's really quite amazing. So I suggest you really to take note about such, because the grand strategy, the battle tactics are wonderful and a good way to make them available, and you can afford them. The heroic action are something that I won't miss, even if you are not going to play with heroic action. Usually with such ones you are going to play with, because they can be a must. And about the common abilities that has been introduced, new ones, I think that they are really useful, so think about them. Remember anyway that you have to combine such update with the video about the facts that I told you about how to use the relentless discipline points, because it's simply a good thing to go to notice, and about the focus that I released about the Battletome with the various artifacts and so on that are available, so that you can understand really deeper how much it's worth the Ossiarch Bonereapers one, because I love such Battletome, and this army is something that I'm having a lot of fun playing and moreover collecting. So think about it and have fun. Anyway, from Dynamod it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video, or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.